What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer. Today we're playing Doom 2016 in 2021. More specifically, the multiplayer of Doom 2016. We're going to talk about how the multiplayer holds up. We're going to talk about the player count, if people are still playing this game online, and if it's worth playing this game just for the multiplayer. Because obviously Doom has a very critically acclaimed single-player campaign, but the multiplayer doesn't get a lot of love. It got a lot of negative reviews from critics and players alike, while the campaign was universally loved by almost everybody. But if you look into the development of this game, it makes sense why the single-player and multiplayer, despite being part of the same game, are viewed differently by the player base. And that's because the two different game modes were made by two different studios. id Software developed the single player, but the multiplayer was actually made by another studio called Certain Affinity. So the multiplayer was pretty much outsourced to a different studio. It wasn't made in-house. What's really interesting about the developers of the multiplayer is that the studio that made the multiplayer was co-founded by ex-employees of Bungie. And here's a list of some of the other projects they worked on before Doom. They did the multiplayer DLC for Halo 2, the multiplayer DLC for Call of Duty World at War, the DLC for Black Ops, Halo Waypoint, the 360 version of Left 4 Dead, Halo Reach DLC, and then eventually they actually became a co-developer of the Halo series once 343 took over, and are working on Halo Infinite as we speak. So that explains why I got a lot of Halo vibes when I first started playing this game's multiplayer. It was like, this actually reminds me a lot of Halo, but mixed in a little bit with Quake. Like, it is an arena shooter. It's definitely more of an arena shooter than Halo is, especially with it being a faster-paced game, and you have to run around to get armor and health, which is pretty much a staple in the arena shooter genre. But it's still not quite like Quake or Unreal Tournament or anything like that. As someone who's played all these games online before, I would say that Doom 2016 probably has a little bit of a higher skill ceiling than Halo, but Quake is definitely a lot harder compared to Doom, at least when it comes to the online. And that was another reason why people hated this multiplayer so much, is that they expected it to be another Quake. Because back then you didn't have Quake Champions. The last Quake game you had by that point was Quake Live, and that wasn't everybody's cup of tea. So people were really hoping for Doom 2016's multiplayer to just be another Quake. And when it wasn't, people complained. And that's probably the main reason why Doom 2016's multiplayer was hated by so many, because it was the same people that loved id Software for Quake. And that's all they wanted. They didn't want Doom to have its own identity for multiplayer. No, they just want another basic arena shooter. Doom 2016 is obviously not that. You gotta create a class, you have a 2-weapon limit, a Call of Duty-like prestige system. So yeah, it definitely wasn't just another arena shooter. It was something else entirely. But I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's one of the most unique and interesting online multiplayer games I've ever played. And I think it definitely deserved a lot more love than it got. But I can't be the only one that thinks that, because the online multiplayer is actually still alive 5 years later. And almost 2 years after the release of Doom Eternal. But that makes sense because Doom Eternal doesn't have any multiplayer, which is a conversation for a different video. But yeah, with Doom 2016, you'll still find games, no problem, almost every game mode, because all the game modes are in one playlist. Well, there are actually two different playlists. There's a team playlist, which is all the team-based game modes. So your Team Deathmatch, your Clan Arena, Domination, King of the Hill, Kill Confirmed, freeze tag. So you have all these different game modes, so you're not just forced to play Team Deathmatch. There's so many modes that you can play. But then the other playlist is a solo playlist where you're not playing with teams, so regular Deathmatch, which is free-for-all, and any mode where you're not playing with a team. But from my experience, that playlist is not very populated compared to the team playlist. The team playlist is populated a lot of the time. There are some times, if you play like in the middle of the night, you're probably not going to find a game that easily. But if you're playing on a regular weekday night, you'll still be able to find full games, at least in North America. I always have to make that disclaimer every video. If you live in a different region than mine, I can't guarantee you'll have an easy time like me finding matches. But yeah, it's good to know the community is still very much alive. I can't give you an exact player number, because if I go on the Steam charts right now, it's not going to separate the people that play single player from multiplayer, because obviously there are a lot of people that are just playing the game for single player and not necessarily to play online. But it's a good amount of people, and even this gameplay, I was playing on a Monday night at midnight, and you can see I had an almost full lobby of Team Deathmatch. It wasn't quite full, it was 5v5 instead of 6v6, but close enough. For a late night on a weekday, for a game that everyone says is terrible, I think that's pretty impressive. But yeah, I just love this multiplayer so much. I actually like the multiplayer of Doom 2016 better than the single player. I know it's going to earn me a few dislikes, and people are going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How are you going to say multiplayer is better than single player? But I said it, and I stand by it. I mean, the gunplay is so fucking satisfying, because once you kill someone, their guts just explode all over the place. It's so gory. I love it. Of course, the graphics are still incredible. Not too many games out there that look better than this. The map design's really good. But one of my favorite things in this game, and you saw gameplay of it earlier, was being able to turn into a fucking demon. There's just nothing more badass than that. The one thing I will say about this game that's really annoying playing it in 2021, there's no team balancing at all. It feels like every single game I play, it's either a crushing victory or a crushing defeat. No in between. There's no like really competitive game. It's always you kick ass or you get your ass handed to you on a silver fucking platter. And for me in this game, it was the latter. But you can see in the scoreboard, I'm the only person on my team that even went positive. There's definitely no team balancing in this shit. But that's like the one complaint I have. Everything else about this game is great, and I just love this game so much. I definitely recommend you play it in 2021. It's just so good. You're definitely missing out if you've never played this game before. But that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think about Doom 2016's multiplayer. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you ever play it? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.